Recording in progress.
Oh yeah, we got him. Trey, Frazier, and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left some. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey shot with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.
Hey, yo, what up, folks? Welcome. It's another edition, brand new episode of the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. You could guys follow us live. You could actually watch us live on our YouTube channel, on our Twitter handle, at Barbershop SPOR2, on our Twitch channel as well, the Facebook page, and you can also follow us on our IG at Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. I'm Trey Frazier, and I got my brother Maestro Styles here with me today.
Yes, sir.
What up, man? How we feeling today?
Cool, man. I got a quick promo note.
No doubt.
I'm not trying. I am dropping a birthday beat tape next Tuesday. It will be out, called Birthday Joints. But I'm trying to get birthday shout-outs that I could put throughout the beat tape.
Okay.
Just a quick five-track joint. So anybody in the Twitter world, social media world, all that, if you know me, you rock with me, just send me a DM of audio just saying happy birthday, whatever you want, whatever little you want to say on it, whatever little comments you got, just send it to my DM. Follow me anywhere in the social media world is at Maestro Styles. So I would appreciate any love y'all send me. One way or the other, the beat tape is coming out on the next week, September 5th, which is my actual birthday. So yeah.
Approaching that big birthday, huh?
The 40, man.
Yes, sir.
And to be honest with you, the only real I guess different thing I'm going to do this year is put out a beat tape. And I haven't figured it out yet, but I am definitely getting tattoos this year.
Oh, okay.
Not nothing crazy, just something small on my hands. But I'm definitely doing it because I never did it when I wanted to do it as a youngin' because I was a punk. But
was that the reason why?
Yeah, that was the reason why. I've always, wow. Me. I've spent so much frivolous. You know me for years. I've spent so much frivolous money. No, I just I made a plan, and I even called the dude, whatever. And I'm laying on my bed and was like, nah, I ain't doing that.
Yeah, I just thought all these years, because, I don't have tattoos either, and it's crazy. Yeah. You, me, and another homeboy of ours, shout out to the homie Melvin, we like the only cats that ain't got tattoos and stuff.
It feel like in the world.
Yeah, right. It feel like we the only ones that ain't got tattoos.
I don't think Sharif got no tattoos though.
And Sharif, yeah. Let me shout out Sharif too. Yeah, he don't got none either. So yeah, like four of us. It seemed like the four of us is the only
it's like
ones
we
in
the
the
only
world
ones that just that
don't got tats. That
well,
won't
take
do it.
me off the list. I am doing it, and my plan is to do it, get it done this month. I even got somebody to go with me.
Okay.
To hold me accountable.
Okay. All right. Look, man, because it's funny because me and wifey had a date night over the weekend, and she was talking about, oh, you should get some tattoos, and I'm like, I'm 40, like I ain't thinking about no tattoos. Like, for real?
Did she got tats?
No.
Interesting.
No, I don't.
Interesting.
Well, she wants a nose ring though, which is cool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, if anything, I would do, I would probably pierce my other ear. If anything.
Yeah, I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at a conversation that was had today about earrings.
Yeah.
Shout out to my man's at work. But he an older cat, and he was just like, man, I just don't understand why niggas be wearing earrings. I just don't understand it. He was like, at least with Rayful, he an old school DC cat. He said, at least with Rayful, he'll get one. Mm-hmm. But it's a reason for that. Yeah. I ain't gonna put his reason out there.
Let's not do that.
but I don't know, man. Shout out to my man. It made me laugh when you said something about getting another ear.
That would be the only thing I would do. I might pierce the other ear. That's it. But tattoos, I'm not interested in no tattoos for real.
Yeah,
for real.
man. I do. I just want a little short tat. I just want some little short drinks, man.
All right. That's what's up, man. Hey, man. Glad that you finally got the courage that I didn't know you didn't have years ago.
I don't even know if I don't even know if I have it. I'm just gonna do it scared.
All right. Hey, man. Scared straight.
Man.
Hey, y'all, we got a good show tonight, man. We got a guest coming up in about 20 minutes. So first off, quick special shout out to Rita, the NFL chick. Continuing to do her thing with all the Brother from Another appearances, and she just her and her co-host Chels AKA Chelsia, they're starting to do new episodes of the Gridiron Gals Podcast. And so I decided, you know what? Let me see if I could get Chels on, come through, talk about, the podcast and everything. And then also, too, next week, Maestro, Thursday, opening kickoff night, there will be a kickoff party hosted by the Gridiron Gals, Rita and Chels. And so,
in
Chels,
Baltimore.
In Baltimore, yes. I know, man. I know, man. It's tough. It's tough. I know.
I'll see what's up.
You'll see what's up. I'm going. I'm definitely going.
I know you going.
Yeah.
Oh, I know you going.
I'm
That's
definitely going.
Baltimore ain't a ride for you.
Yeah. Nah. True. But if it was DC, I'd get in that car and go. But we wouldn't want to go down that rabbit hole. But Chels, she's gonna come on and we'll talk about the kickoff party, we'll talk about the podcast, and then she's a Dallas Cowboys fan, so there's a lot to get to with the Cowboys and all that. And I want to hold off on the Trey Lance stuff until she gets on and all that stuff too. But I got two things to kind of open the show real quick, right? So I love when our guests, they get these opportunities, to cover sports, and, their dreams are sort of fulfilled in that regard. So I want to shout out two people this past week that made some changes, as far as being able to cover sports on a more regular basis. So, Megan Hall, 1/3 of the Sports Tea podcast. She does her own podcast, Hall About Sports. She's been on with us a couple of times this year.
Yeah.
She made an announcement that she decided she was quitting whatever job she did. And to be honest, I don't even know what she did, for a living. But
marketing. I remember it being
was
marketing.
It marketing?
Yeah. All right. But
okay.
I digress.
But she decided, you know what? I'm gonna go in this sports thing full time. Got a full-time gig with USAtoday.com, and so congrats to Megan Hall for that.
For sure, shout out to her.
And continuing to live that dream. And then she's still covering. Speaking of dreams, she's covering the WNBA team down in Atlanta, the Atlanta Dream. She's still doing that. So props to her for getting that done. And the other person I want to shout out to, Vince Wright, who was on with us several weeks ago. Has gotten full media credentials to cover the Minnesota Gophers football team, repping the Big Ten, conference and all that stuff. So
shout out to Governor.
Shout out to the Gov right there, for doing that and, holding it down. So
for sure.
So yeah, man, our guests are doing big things, man. It's always nice to see, people that look like us, get these opportunities and, fulfill their dreams and kind of live it out. You know what I mean? Shout out
to our network of sports media, man, because everybody making their moves.
Yep, absolutely. So the second thing I kind of wanted to touch on too, we did lose a national treasure over the weekend to death. Rest in peace, Bob Barker. Famously known for the host of The Price is Right, which is one of those game shows that just, pretty much has been around since I was born. One of those TV shows, man, and it just got to me thinking, right? So to me, there's 3 game shows that's like the national treasure that, it's 3 game shows. It's Wheel of Fortune, it's Jeopardy, and it's The Price is Right, right? And to think about standing the test of time, and to think about television from years ago, and the way, like, because once upon a time there was a game show era, where game shows came on in the mornings for like 2-3 hours, and Price is Right was a part of that.
Yeah.
And then, the format of television kind of changes to where it goes from game shows to talk shows in the morning. Then it went from talk shows to somewhat court TV shows, and now it's a whole bunch of like news shows out there also. And it, the networks have gone through all these changes over about 3-4 decades. But that one show that always kind of stuck out and just stood the test of time in the midst through all those changes was The Price is Right. And
Well, he hasn't been. Well, first of all, recipes to Bob Barker.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll say this. I haven't watched daytime TV in easily 10, 15 years. So I don't know. I mean, I know that shows exist, but I don't. I know Drew Curry's been doing Price is Right for
seemed like 10 years now. Seemed like about
to say at least that long.
About 10 years now. Yep.
But all that to say, rest in peace to Bob Barker. I don't know about the whole infrastructure of daytime television, like how you just outlined it.
Yeah.
I know that when I was young, my grandfather was a big Price is Right fan, and my grandfather died at 56 and 96.
Yeah.
So I didn't really, my grandfather was sick. For most of, I remember him being sick. I don't recall him being healthy.
Yeah.
But every day, obviously in the summertime, I remember sitting with him and watching Price is Right. That was my introduction to Bob Barker.
Yep.
Plinko and all the little fun
My
games.
favorite game out of that whole show is Plinko.
Yeah. So definitely he is somebody that I remember and can remember for entertaining me. It was kind of my way of bonding with my grandfather.
Yeah.
So definitely I appreciate Bob Barker for his contribution to my life. And rest in peace, condolences to the family.
Yeah. You mentioned something, in regard to your grandfather being sick for, a period of time. So I would watch Price is Right if I was sick from, and I couldn't go to school. So like most folks who stayed home from school because they didn't feel well, they turned on the TV and The Price is Right was on. And so that's how I would be able to kind of watch it, kind of as a kid, just because of not being able to go to school because of, a sick day or two or whatever. And then summertime, when you're not outside or anything, you get up in the mornings and, to turn the TV on, Price is Right was on. That same slot, that same 11 o'clock in the morning slot, and it still holds it to this day, which again, it's amazing that more than 40 years that you're still in the same time slot on the same network. Like that's just wild to me.
Sure.
But rest in peace to the legend Bob Barker. And I can't forget too, because the clips of Happy Gilmore were surfacing the internet. If you've seen Happy Gilmore before, Bob Barker made an appearance in the movie. And that was the scene where Adam Sandler and him, was punching each other in the face, and they got into a tussle, and Bob Barker kind of got the last laugh of the tussle. And so, shout out to, to the family and all that. Rest in peace to Bob Barker.
Yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. So to sports news, I don't know what's the bigger news. I'll ask.
Okay.
I'll just go ahead and throw it out there. Von Miller, and the Buffalo Bills conversation has been a hot conversation amongst the podcast.
Yeah.
For the past few weeks. Shout out to T. T hit me on Twitter. Shawty tried checking me on Twitter, but I'm a G about mine. I stand on my word. But Von Miller is out for the first 4 games due to his what was it, ACL injury that he was dealing with. I'll ask you because I remember asking T, and she was saying that Von Miller isn't even the most important pass rusher on the team.
Yep.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but she would know her team better than I would.
Yep.
Is this a big deal in your mind?
Yeah, it's a big deal because, and not that they're playing the Jets 4 weeks in a row, but opening weekend, Monday night, that is an important game that, if you win that game, you kind of get the upper hand in the division, right? So, so yeah, I think it's a big deal that you lose a Von Miller, and, granted, for whatever she said, whoever is the best pass rusher on the team, he's still Von Miller to me until otherwise I see Von Miller on the field not being able to do what he can do anymore.
Well, I mean, look, he ain't Denver Von Miller. I mean,
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So that's clear. So I think that's what she was alluding to, is that, like, listen, we're not that guy from Denver. He's not here anymore. But I mean, to me, I don't even know who that other person was that she was talking about. To me, Von Miller is still the best pass rusher on this team. Now, that's just me from the outside looking in. I'm sure T and other Buffalo fans will chime in and say that's not the case. But to me, Von Miller is still the best pass rusher on that team. So I think I think they'll be fine. But like you said, to miss the Jets game is important if they plan on winning that game. And another game,
if they plan on winning the division, forget the game, the division.
Sure, yeah, that too. Another game, and why you talking about that, is week 4. They got the Dolphins. That's another division game, and then week 5, if everybody believes, if the Bills are still the favorite to win a division, week 5 is the Jaguars, and then we're talking about seeding.
Yep.
And tiebreakers. So this is an important, if I believe this to be a big deal. And again, I think we agreed that 3-2 is kind of the reasonable outcome of this game, but the 2 losses are the important, where the 2 losses come from.
Yeah, in that division, and you don't want that.
You don't want you need the division games.
You don't want to be 0-2 in the division, and you're going into a game against Jacksonville, who's clearly the best team in their division, and like you said, you're talking about seeding purposes in the AFC, and you don't want to lose that tiebreaker to them. So,
for sure.
And just to kind of expand on the schedule just a little bit further, if people are believing that the Giants are going to take this next step, not that it's conference game, but that's a game I would think you want to get that one, and then after that it's the Patriots. So, needless to say, we don't believe in the Patriots this year. We don't believe them to even be relevant, even by you know what? I'm not gonna be that disrespectful. I think they'll be talked about halfway through the season, but then I think as we get 3 quarters into the year, I think you're gonna start to see the Patriots fade out, and then you're gonna see the real dogs of the AFC.
The Patriots ain't making the playoffs. I feel you, but I don't think it's disrespectful to say. As far as speculation, and obviously we are speculating.
Well, I was gonna say by half time of the year, we're not even gonna be talking about them. We're not even talking about them being like the number 7, number 8 seed. I was about to go in and be like, yo, they probably gonna be the bottom 3 seed in the conference by that point.
I don't know that, but I don't believe they'll. It's not far fetched to say they won't be a top 8 seed or top 7 seed. That's not far fetched to say. 1 and 2, whether they're a top 7 seed or not, that's still a division game. That's not a game you want to lose.
Yep.
So
exactly.
I mean, one way or the other. Von Miller, the 4 games that he's going to be out for certain, and then there's the if he comes back, and we all wish him to be back when he's going to be back, if not earlier. Then there's still the Russ thing. Is he going to come in and immediately be the best version of Von Miller he can be? He's definitely going to get a test in Jacksonville or with Jacksonville. I don't know if that's a home game or not, but with Jacksonville, they're definitely going to get a test. That's probably the London game.
Yes, it is. It is. I was about to say it's in Buffalo, but it's a 9:30 in the morning start, which means it is a international game. So
yeah. So, but all that being said, we definitely wish Von Miller a speedy recovery and all those things. Even though I stand pat on what I said, Buffalo. I need to figure out how to figure that out.
What's that?
Well, how to put money on Buffalo not making the playoffs?
So if you go to the sports book, there should be a section where it says teams to not make the playoffs. Like there should be some kind of section in there saying, teams to make the playoffs, or another example would be teams to win the AFC East.
I'm trying to figure out how to place a bet. I'm just trying to figure out how to place a bet. I looked on FanDuel.
It's the same thing. It's just like if you go.
I didn't see it on FanDuel.
Well, I'm talking about the FanDuel Sportsbook, not FanDuel like the lineup stuff. I'm talking about the Sportsbook. Go to the Sportsbook and do like you're playing a parlay, and just look for the section where it says chances to reach the Super Bowl, chances to win the AFC North, chances that a team misses the playoffs, like that kind of thing. Once you look for those categories, then you'll be able to see what those odds are. And you just put your money up right then and there, man.
All right. Well, once I find that, I'm gonna put mine up and I'm gonna post it, and I'm gonna tag the podcast.
So one of the I guess the not so surprising things that got released this afternoon, Jonathan Taylor remains an Indianapolis Colt.
Yeah.
And again, kind of like I said last week, I know Miami was in talks, as they should be, to try to negotiate something to, pull him from the Colts, but it just looked like whatever they offered just wasn't enough,
They wasn't getting rid of Jonathan Taylor. The truth is they wasn't getting rid of Jonathan Taylor. The Dolphins could have offered them every, Tyreek Hill and Tua I'm about to mess his name up, but Tua. And they wouldn't have took it because it was never a real conversation about them giving up their running back.
Well, sure, but
so they could have offered Tyreek Hill.
But they did say, hey, Jonathan Taylor, go out there and see if there's any suitors out there. That was confirmed that they told him that. So
right, but they did that. I'm not this. Yeah, I read it. I'm not saying they didn't tell him that. I'm saying they did that just to make him feel better, but they knew in their mind that there was not an offer that was going to be made where they gave away Jonathan Taylor. They weren't giving away Jonathan Taylor.
I wonder what that offer would be, though. I'm just curious. Like we'll never know these things until later on down the line. Even if even if we get to a point in a season where somebody leaks something out, like we'll probably never really know the full truth of what they offered. But if I'm Irsay and you the Dolphins and you call me and was like, here's Tyreek Hill, here's a first round pick or something, something outrageous lines, I'm taking that deal. I'm sorry.
Of course. I'm just saying that Irsay wasn't never giving up Jonathan Taylor. They're like, it would have in reality it would have to be something
right.
Stupid, like where the Dolphins took an L for Jonathan Taylor.
Yep.
And yeah, that wasn't happening. Like I said, that wasn't happening.
Yeah, and quite frankly, the young quarterback Anthony Richardson needs a running back like Jonathan Taylor, which was another reason why I thought they weren't going to cut ties with him, because you need to help that rookie out, and the best way to do that is to give that dude a running game, and that's what Jonathan Taylor brings. So
the problem is their offensive line, though.
Yeah. If they could kind of get back to form from a couple years ago, that would be great. But kind of like the Patriots, I kind of see the Colts as like that team that they'll probably be a little better than last year, but they're really like we really ain't gonna talk about them after week 9.
I don't think we're gonna be talking about them before week 9.
We ain't talking about these guys.
Yeah.
For the
But
most part.
shout out to the Colts though.
Yep. What else you got?
Ron Rivera, I was reading, is coming out talking about if he knew that Howell was this good, he would have started him sooner last year. You know what I like about Ron Rivera, and let's be clear, Ron Rivera should I don't think he should be coaching right. I don't think he should be coaching the Commanders. Maybe he can coach somewhere else.
Should be out the
But
door.
I think
Get him out the door.
I think he's kind of what's the word, served his purpose in Washington, in DC. But I really respect that. I feel like he talks like that to the press. Like he's that honest with the press and transparent with the press because he don't give a fuck. Like this Bama has legit had life scares, beat cancer, those types of things, and he is still doing what he want to do. And I think he's just happy to be around, to still be around when he just playing loose, for lack of a better term. So I can respect that. I can respect that about Ron Rivera, but he continues with these messy comments with the press. And I don't know if it's gonna hurt or help. Probably hurts if they lose, and probably doesn't matter if he wins. But he one thing about Ron Rivera, he gonna be messy in his tenure with the Commanders.
Yeah. I don't care. I'm gonna be honest with you. I wish I had something more to add to this conversation, but I really don't give a damn.
I do wonder what he saw in practice that made that where he didn't see that he was better than Wentz or Heineke before week 17 or week 18 last year.
I don't know, man, but I'll tell you something interesting, right? So the Ravens played the Commanders last week. In the preseason game, and just for context, Washington had their ones out there the first several drives, and the Ravens had their second string, third string people out there.
Okay, I'm cutting you off because I need clarity because I was told the same thing about Washington.
Yep,
you're saying so. I was told that Washington had their twos and they didn't have their ones in on defense.
On defense,
that the Commanders did not have their ones in.
Because I was more focused on the Commanders' offense because I was really interested to see how Howell, was gonna play just because of Sam Howell and it's kind of the unknown and we only seen him start one game. So I was more focused on the offense than I was on their defense. But
but you're talking about the ones we're in on offense.
The ones for Washington's offense were out there for the first several drives.
Okay.
And quite frankly, and Terry McLaurin get well soon, and because he tweaked, I think he tweaked the foot or something in the game.
Yeah, I never heard the follow up on that.
I don't know what that is. All I know is that he walked off the field and everything seemed fine, but of course, people was giving him smoke for keeping him in, as long as they did, for a game that was, meaningless, of course. But the ones on offense for Washington looked good. Like it looked good. Now again, our defense, the Ravens defense had their twos and threes out there.
Yeah.
The Ravens on offense had their twos and threes out there. So it may be hard to gauge how good Sam Howell is, but I will say, just for the entertainment purposes of this conversation, Sam Howell looked good.
He looked good
in the preseason game against the Ravens. He looked pretty good. So
yeah, for sure, he definitely did look good. So I ain't gonna take it from him. He looked good because if we take it from them, then it's gonna be haters trying to take it from Kenny Pickett, and I ain't having that right now. so yeah, I mean he did look good. He did what he needed to do with the people that were put out on the field. Yep. Because I was waiting to come into work and say, hey man, how y'all got Josh Johnson and Justice Hill scorching y'all like that? But somebody told me before I went in talking shit that their twos was in, so that's why I asked you about it because I'm like, nah, you can't be out here getting torched by Josh Johnson and Justice Hill.
Right.
That's not a good
Josh Johnson is not going to make the team. Let's be honest about that.
Well, the cuts were put out today. Did he not make the team?
I didn't see the list yet, but
Okay.
I'm almost certain that he's not going to make the team because I don't think they're carrying three quarterbacks, and even if they do carry three, I think Josh Johnson is the odd guy out. I think it's Tyler Huntley's the backup, and the number three guy is going to be Anthony Brown.
Anthony Brown.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll say okay because I didn't see the list. But I mean, just the hearsay that I've been hearing, people were saying that Josh Johnson had a good chance of not only making the team but being the second string quarterback.
Mm-hmm. And
That's what I was seeing on the timeline.
And Josh Johnson did look good. Like in some of the drives, he looked really good. It's just
that first drive, him and Justice Hill put in work.
Right. Yeah, they did. It's just the quarterbacks above him for right now seem like the better choices. Right
you sold on Huntley?
Am I sold on Huntley to be the backup? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
To be the backup, yes. And I'm sold on Anthony Brown to be the third guy. Now, would it shock me if Anthony Brown overleaped Huntley for the 2 spot? No, it wouldn't surprise me. And if it did happen by some strange way, then I wouldn't be upset at all. So let me.
I am definitely about to find out who the Ravens cuts.
Well, while you find that, let's. I think we got our guest here. We got Chels here in the building. Chels, you there?
I about to say because the video didn't pop up, so I didn't know.
There she go. There she go. There she go. I know she was.
No, it's not me unless I'm fumbling with the mute button.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know you and I, we were texting back and forth, and I know you was having some issues, trying to log in.
Yeah, I was having some technical issues. Of course, you know how that is, right, when you got to do something. But
of course,
good evening, fellas. Thank you for having me.
Yes, no doubt. So just to introduce you proper here, ladies and gentlemen, we have Chelsia AKA Chels, one half of the Gridiron Gals Podcast, alongside Rita the NFL chick. Shout out to her again. You can find that podcast on YouTube now, as well as any of your streaming platforms, and you can also follow Chels on Twitter at Chels is right. Chels, again, thank you so much for coming in to the podcast. And so I guess, well, first off, how's everything? How are you?
I am doing very well. I'm very excited about college football coming up this weekend and NFL coming. I am not excited. I'm not a peaceful watcher of my team, so I don't enjoy watching the Cowboys. I do it, but I don't enjoy it. I'm much more relaxed and enjoy football more when it's other teams. But
yeah,
we'll see. That's just the life of a fan. I think a lot of fans are like that.
Yeah, for sure.
But other than that, I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well.
That's good.
So you are looking forward to your stress levels rising watching your football team.
I know that it's coming, and I am preparing, meaning I'm going to have to take several trips to the liquor store.
Well, ain't never been nothing wrong with the liquor store on Sunday now.
That's the only way I'm going to be able to make it, I'm going to tell you.
So well, I was going to get straight into the Cowboy stuff because she brought it up, Trey. So now I got to ask.
Go ahead.
What do you feel like is going to raise your stress levels? Is it just the overall, or are there specific points that you feel like going into the season this year that you feel like the Dallas Cowboys are going to raise your stress levels?
I mean, it's just the nature of this is how I am every season.
Gotcha. Okay.
Even if I feel good, if I don't feel good, if I'm unsure, this is just my anxiety as a football fan, period.
Since 1995, basically.
Yeah. It's just everything. It's just, the Cowboys, no matter if we're winning, everybody's talking about us. If we're losing, everybody's talking about us. If somebody sneezes on the sideline, everybody's talking about us. And so it's just, anxiety is just up.
I'm going to let you know now that I am going to attempt to raise your stress levels just a little bit higher when we get into the Dallas Cowboys in this current segment.
Bring it on.
And I'm sure that your stress levels are up whenever a team trades for a quarterback who's clearly going to be the backup going into the season. So your thoughts on Trey Lance being traded to the Cowboys, and if you want to kind of go in on the San Fran side of things, we could do that too, because I definitely got some smoke for him as well. But what's your thoughts coming from a Cowboys fan?
Yeah, it's funny that you said something about the San Fran, because most people are talking about the Cowboys in this trade and not talking about how terrible what San Fran missed by even choosing Trey Lance in that trade. But to someone, I can't remember which one of you said it, but Trey Lance is not going to be the backup this year. But I was shocked by it, especially since the Cowboys can be very predictable sometimes. But unlike most Cowboys fans, I do trust the front office. We have always drafted well, traded well, and other than the Amari Cooper trade, which was a dud.
Okay, all right. I was okay because I was about to stop you right then.
No. That of Amari Cooper, I'm like, you got cute, right? You got cute. Let's not do that again. But like I said, I think that was a dork move.
Yeah.
But we didn't give up very much. A fourth round is not very much for someone who was drafted number 3 overall 2 seasons ago. I do hear that other teams, I think the Ravens, Seahawks, maybe were kind of looking at him, kicking the tires on him and thinking about giving up a 5th. And you know how Jerry Jones is. Oh, y'all giving up a 5th? He's going to undercut you. Came in, and that's how he was able to get him for a 4th. So I think that anytime the Cowboys does something like this, like if there's any other team that it doesn't, instead of be like, but because it's the Cowboys and because there's a lot of people on Dak Prescott, the word on the street is, Dak, you're on notice. But the Cowboys they can do some head scratching things, but putting in a guy that we haven't seen play, making him the backup to your franchise quarterback is absurd. So I think that they saw a good deal, and they saw a potential in something later on, possibly. And I think that they struck on it, and I really don't think it's any more than that. Now, the optics of it are terrible, and that's one thing that my team can do. If we can't do nothing else, we can make something that ain't bad look bad.
Right.
And so it looks away. It looks like we have, crowned Trey Lance and like, Dak, you're on notice. But we haven't seen anything we can do. We haven't seen him very much in preseason. We don't know anything. We know what Cooper Rush can do. We know we lost Dak in the first game last year, and everybody was like, well, that's the end. But, Cooper Rush was able to be a very significant reason why we even made it to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And he has been re-signed. So they're not going to get anybody that they haven't seen prove anything and just kick him up in here and put him at number 2. So, and also Mike McCarthy's talking about keeping Will Grier too. And I'm just like, okay, well, you didn't think we need 4 quarterbacks? Okay, then, y'all want to play the clown circus, and that's fine. But also, like, we have also seen teams lose their starter and their backup before.
Yeah.
So
San Fran.
Well, yes, I wasn't going to say that. And then it's just like, now who's playing there? So I hope that nothing horrible happens. I hope that Dak has the opportunity to have a full season. I hope that he will be able to have the pieces around him, so those interceptions, which a good number of those were not on him, but it doesn't matter when you throw interceptions. It does not matter. Nobody sees anything. They just see the interceptions. I hope that they can treat him a lot better, but they did, you're right. They set him up with that Amari Cooper trade.
Right.
They not, you can't just assume that other people can stretch the field the way Amari Cooper can.
Yeah.
And you got to see that, especially on those 3rd and long situations, which if you look at Dak's interceptions, how many of them were in 3rd and long situations? Also, he is a new offensive coordinator. So we got to give some slack to Kellen Moore and the play calling. And so we're hoping that Mike McCarthy is going to do a little bit different with the play calling. And I don't know if y'all saw that last preseason game, but who was calling the plays out there?
You took the fire right out of my conversation. Dak Prescott was calling plays, and I ain't gonna hold you, Chels.
Oh, word?
I'm not gonna hold you.
Y'all be trying to come at my boy. Folks
He looked.
come at my.
I'm just gonna say,
plays, baby. He had Will Greer looking like Brady out there.
Oh snap!
but he looked a little too comfortable at offensive coordinator to be the starting coach. He looked like he want to be new Kellen Moore. That's what it looked like to me. Just optically, he looked like. You know what? I could get used to doing this with Trey Lance coming in the building.
Didn't he look super comfortable?
He looked super comfortable. Like he.
Hey, I said, hey, bro, you got to go to work in 2 weeks. Put that clipboard.
Yeah. I can't imagine. Look, and let's be clear. I don't think Dak is in any trouble or jeopardy of losing his job this year, next year, next 3 or 4 years. But I do think that it's healthy to bring in a young boy just to let him know, hey, you're not hungry right now. Mm-hmm. I think that's healthy. But because it's like, we talked about this last week, Trey. This is year 8?
Year number 8, yeah.
Year number 8. I think it's logical or reasonable to say that maybe at the team as constructed and what he's shown us on the field, that he might not be the guy. I don't believe that. I'm not ready to go jump out on that ledge and say that yet, but we've had people on the podcast that say, you know what, I'm ready to see somebody new. In your defense, these are Commanders fans, or some of them were Commanders fans. Dak is trash. Dak is not the franchise quarterback. Dak is just a good regular season quarterback. So I think if the attempt in bringing Trey Lance was to put some fire up under him and say, hey, bro, I feel you. Like, we got you. You're not going nowhere, but you need to see somebody young and hungry to maybe motivate you to be maybe young and hungry. I think this could be a healthy thing for Dak and the Cowboys.
I mean, well, we saw that's what worked for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw how well he played when Jordan Love got drafted. Also, I wouldn't be talking to Commanders fans about what the Cowboys are doing. They're irrational people.
Shots fired.
And I mean, they talk like that about Tony Romo, and Tony Romo got records that nobody that plays for the Cowboys can beat right now. So like, I wouldn't be talking to them about it. But I just don't think and in defense of my team and my quarterback and my fan base, I think people are unnecessarily critical of people like Dak Prescott.
Okay.
And I think that people will be unnecessarily critical of Cowboys players, period, but especially when you are the quarterback of a franchise that can be very, very polarizing. So the scrutiny does come, and he knows that. He knows that comes along with it. That's why he didn't want to do the Netflix series. He was like, I get enough attention. I'm not about to get on Netflix and do what, let them do their little QB thing on Netflix and whatever. So I think he gets a lot of unnecessary flack. I think that people, people watch football with a different lens. And sometimes you can see, and it's a gift and a curse. And you guys know, when you really start watching football and you can see things happening before they happen, it's not fun anymore.
Yeah.
And so you can see like, I know why that boom got tipped. Oh, I know that's going to be an interception or whatever. Or I can see the ball was in the air too long,
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't see that. And so they only see, the play, what happened and how it was called. So that's just how I feel about that. I gotta, and listen, if anybody follows me on Twitter, y'all know that as soon as the ball snapped in the first series, my first thing I say is, I hate this team. The distress is coming, but the Cowboys are always competitive. Somehow they are always competitive, down to almost had a good chance possibly of winning the division, squeaking it out last year, even though we lost our starting quarterback for the first 6 weeks of the season. So we somehow pull it out. But I like many other fans and other people, we gotta push it up, man. We can't just be like, hey, we went to the playoffs, wonderful. Now what? So what? They expanded the playoffs. It's easier to make it to the playoffs than it was years ago. So,
perfect.
They got back-to-back 12-win seasons, and that's something we hadn't been able to say about the Cowboys for a number of years now. You know,
and if it was any other team, it would be something that would be applauded. But it's just like, it's never going to be enough for the Cowboys. It's always going to have to be, but when is the last Super Bowl? No one ever asked any other team, when was your last Super Bowl? Only
That's not true.
Well, no, not necessarily. Well, what I'll say though is that you believe, let's say the past 5 years, the Cowboys in the NFC had for the past 5 years and maybe longer a legitimate shot with the competition in the NFC. They're in a Super Bowl window. So I think, but with that, based on your roster, how you're performing, the 12-win seasons, and the fact that Jerry Jones can't keep his damn mouth shut, the scrutiny is warranted. It's warranted.
I think we don't do ourselves any favors.
Yeah.
Favors. I'm not saying so. Sometimes I'm like, okay, the scrutiny is a lot. Like, y'all are talking about us, even when we had seasons where like, hey man, we ain't winning no games. What y'all on the TV talking about us for? But they don't make it easy on us. You're right. Jerry cannot shut up. He gotta say something. He's very intrusive. He's on radio shows. He is a man of the people. So he's down on the local radio shows every week. And he just keeps talking, and he keeps insinuating, and he keeps implying. And see, that's what he needs, because that draws money.
Right.
He wants you to keep you on your toes, and he keeps the butts in the seats.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
I can't disagree there.
Yeah, that is true. How do you feel about Dak Prescott? And first of all, I want to say too, I agree with Maestro that I think Dak Prescott's going to be fine. I think he has nothing to worry about this season, and I would say at least the next couple of seasons. How do you feel about your quarterback not being let known that the team was going to trade for Trey Lance? How do you feel about that as a fan?
Oh, I don't like that at all. I don't like that kind of passive aggressiveness. I don't think that was right at all. I think he should have known. And honestly, we should know that he didn't know. That's another thing. Right. Everybody talks too much. Like, it needs to be internal, because now the fact that Dak didn't know about it, and for whatever reason, it could be like, we don't know how to tell him, or we don't want to make him think it was a big deal, and blah blah blah. Because if you had told Dak, hey, we're going to draft for Trey Lance, would Dak have thought, oh, well, what y'all saying that, y'all, I'm not good enough or whatever? Like, we don't know how he would have taken it. But again, it's not about what the intentions were. It is what it looks like.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And it looks messy, and it looks deceptive.
Perception. Yep.
And especially since, I don't know if you guys remember last year at the when the Cowboys got eliminated last year, and then there was an article about Dak from the Cowboys website.
Yes, I remember that. Yep.
I was like, are y'all drunk? So I think that got to do things, the PR machine, they think it runs well, but sometimes it really doesn't run that well. So yeah, I don't like it. I think it was an ugly thing to do. I don't like when teams do like little underhanded, shady stuff to their own players to try to manipulate situations, or like to manipulate a situation in the case of like the Colts and Jonathan Taylor, right? I think that's manipulation. I think they were trying to play him like, oh, you think you good enough? Well, look, but I think with Dak, it was trying to manipulate the situation in a different way. Like, that shit seems like it's not a big deal. Well, why don't you think that would be a big deal? Like, that is a huge trip. And you should tell your franchise quarterback that you're bringing in another quarterback that was a third rounder 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. A third rounder, a third overall.
The third overall pick, yeah.
So let me ask a real question then. And shut it down if you like, but if that gets, God forbid, we ain't wishing injury on nobody, Dak gets injured, and for some reason, and I get Cooper Rush as the number 2, but let's say, this is only hypothetical, Trey Lance gets in and kind of does a Brock Purdy.
I was just about to say, you basically saying
does a Brock Purdy.
If it's a San Francisco situation like last year. If that happens this year for the Cowboys,
what is the What's the thoughts of if Trey Lance sneaks into the season and balls out? What's the feeling in Dallas in your opinion?
You all seen that happen before in Dallas?
Well, injuries are unpredictable.
Yes,
we've seen it before in Dallas.
Yeah,
we've seen it in Dallas. Yes,
Yes. Got Dak.
Yeah,
So that's how we got Dak. It's very possible that is something that can happen. It is, you can go with the hot hand. That caused a lot of drama. With Romo, with Dak coming in. I still think, as I love Romo, and I still thought it was a good decision because I was like, okay, this boy is hot,
Yeah.
The difference is, I think that Romo had quite a few more years over Dak than this, so the difference in the age will be a little bit different or whatever. But we've seen it happen. And that's how you got Tom Brady too. Teams want to win, and I don't think that they will be very tied to have that emotional tie to things.
Okay.
Which sounds kind of funny because Jerry Jones definitely gets emotionally invested in the players.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right.
But we've seen it happen before. So do I think it absolutely will? I don't know, but it's happened before.
Okay.
But it seemed like he's cheap too. It seemed like Jerry Jones get a little cheap also sometimes.
Really?
No, not him.
You don't think so? How so?
If he could play these boys out of his pocket, he would. No.
You don't think so?
Yeah, I'm about to say.
What's your example? I guess the Dak Prescott contract situation. So, and I know Dak was like, "Hey, I'm gonna ball out. I'm gonna play on the last year of the contract to try to get a bigger payday." But it just seemed like Jerry Jones was trying to lowball the dude.
We're always up against the cap.
Yeah.
Always up against the cap, and it's just like, and we always get to a point where there are multiple players that get their payout in the same year. Like you got a Zach Martin, and you got Trayvon Diggs, that like all of those things. So it's not like they're like, how can I undercut? They're not the New England Patriots. They don't pay nobody, and people love to play for them so much they just pretty much don't have to. But they're always up against the cap, and they're just moving things around to make sure they can keep as many people as they can. And so no, I don't think that they try to lowball or anything like that.
Yeah, and I think the contract dispute from my vantage point was that Dak was so good so early in the regular season.
Yeah.
That he had his right to feel like that's where we want to put our money at. But then you also got to remember he was unavailable for injured for some time, and he's not good he hasn't been good in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that whole thing the whole fight was it's like, all right, yeah, you quote, I don't want to call it pad numbers. I don't think that's what he was doing, but in the regular season he was so good in comparison to the playoffs, and because he was so good, playoff expectations came so fast for him. Somebody said, I seen somebody say this somewhere, and I'm sorry for not giving y'all credit. We put so much credit, we put so much on Dak Prescott, but you got to understand that he was a fourth round pick. He wasn't expected to be the guy he became so fast.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So
he took over preseason. Tony Romo.
Right. Literally.
Preseason.
Literally.
It's the Seahawks. I will never forget that.
Yeah. So it's kind of so when we saw, this dude can ball, we immediately jumped to playoff and Super Bowl window when we should have been letting him get used to just being a player in the NFL, being a good consistent player in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And now, for whatever reason, I think we know that Dak is here. He's here. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
The next question now is, he got his money. Now Super Bowl. That's because I think Chels now asked you. They put a team around them where they feel like they should be winning. They should be in competition for the Super Bowl. How long is this window going to be open in your mind, or is the window even still open for you for Dallas winning the Super Bowl with Philly being there and really just San Fran being there?
Yeah, it's not like the conference is heavy. Like it's
right.
The Cowboys are literally the third best team in the conference right now.
Let me make sure. Yeah, I think that's safe. I think that's good.
AFC is the monster right now.
Yeah.
The AFC is the monster right now. So in this next 2-3 years, or depending on what these other teams in the NFC do. I mean, this is the time. If Philly wants to try to get one, this is their time to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody else in the NFC that feels like they can get to a competitive point, and I think we have to be fair to teams. It takes a minute for teams to get to a competitive point when you're moving things around so much.
Yeah.
So it but I don't think it's a situation like the Rams. The Rams, that year they won the Super Bowl, it was Super Bowl or bust.
Yep.
And it might be that way for the 49ers this year.
Yeah, I was just gonna say because a team out there that, and this is in my book, a team out there that doesn't win the Super Bowl this year, I think they jobs at the very minimum. Because at first I was like, Kyle and John, they got to get fired if they don't win the Super Bowl, this coming year. I'm gonna give some leeway. I'm gonna give some leeway a little bit because I'm a little bit frustrated with the Trey Lance situation and kind of how they handle that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're San Francisco and you've been to all these NFC title games, like I'm just kind of going back to the Kaepernick years and the Harbaugh years. Every year they was in the playoffs, they was in the conference championship. It's the same thing with this regime. Every year they in the playoffs, they somehow win the conference championship game. At some point, if I'm a Niners fan, I gotta be like, look, man, it's a Super Bowl, man. And I ain't talking about just getting to the Super Bowl. I want the chip.
Yeah.
Sure, but the same, and maybe not on as high as a scale as the 49ers, but because of the media coverage for Dallas, but because we know that Dallas has a good defense, because we know they got weapons, that's some of the same conversation being said by Dallas. And in fact, and it's probably the media's fault, and because how the Cowboys are covered,
it's American team. Yeah.
I would say that the expectation for Dallas, not the expectation, Cowboys fans won a Super Bowl more than 49ers fans won a Super Bowl.
That I agree with. That if you're comparing the two, I agree with that.
Yeah. And
shut everybody. If we win the Super Bowl, can't nobody say a word to me.
Yeah.
So, and let's not forget that San Fran was just in the Super Bowl. They didn't win.
Yeah.
But they was a bad pass away from winning that Super Bowl against Kansas City. Let's be clear about that.
And a bad pass from going back to the Super Bowl against the Rams.
Exactly. So you know what I'm saying? So I don't think the pressure, and I get it, you a little butthurt about the Trey Lance thing, even though I told you that shit was gonna happen. But that's cool.
So can I respond to that? So I'm gonna put myself in the shoes.
Oh, first of all, I'm sorry, Chels. This is strictly male ego. Tell me I'm right.
About what?
Tell me I was right.
About what?
I told you that Trey Lance was gone. I told you that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I told you that days.
You want cookies?
I told you.
You want?
Yes. I love cookies, nigga. That's what you talking about? Yes.
You want Chips Ahoy or something?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oreos. What's good?
Yeah, all that. Give me my props. Look, give me mine. Look. Because I hate you, nigga. Because the first thing you do when you write, is be like, yeah.
Hey,
you
man.
All smug, your shoulders raised a little higher. You get comfortable.
Talk that talk, Maestro.
So give me mine. And that's 2 weeks. And that's 2 weeks in a row that I called it, and it happened within 3 weeks. Because I told you about Dalvin Cook going to the Jets. I told you what was going to happen.
I gave you your flowers for that too. Talk your shit, man.
But I digress.
You got it.
I digress. Thank you.
Here's what I'm gonna say. So I'm gonna put myself in the shoes of Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, right? And me watching what happened last year. Brock Purdy played well. Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Brock Purdy, but it was just for a few games, right? Yes, he got him to the title. He helped them get to a title game. In the sample size that we've seen Brock Purdy, so far we know he can play, and so far we know he got hurt, and we don't know how he's going to come back from that. If I'm in those guys' shoes, I'm keeping Trey Lance for a few reasons. Number one, I gave up 3 first-round picks for the guy. Number two, I'm always having some injury issues at the quarterback position. It's been like that in San Fran since Jimmy Garoppolo. I've always had issues with keeping guys healthy. So if something happens to Brock, I could bring Trey Lance in and still be a competitive football team.
That's Sam Darnold for, and they cheaper.
I'm sorry. I didn't like how they handled that whole situation, man. And that's why I kind of went off on a tangent earlier this week, man. I'm just kind of like, look, it's Super Bowl or those guys got to get fired. And let me give a quick shout out, my man Rod Cowley 247, who's going to be on the podcast next week.
What up?
The 49ers fan. He's on board with me. He's like, look, it's Super Bowl or get the hell out. He won a Super Bowl. He wants the ring, bro. He wants the ring.
Of course they do. Of course they want the ring. Of course, look, every NFL team want the ring. That's that. Look, I'm not even saying y'all wrong about wanting to keep Trey Lance. I get your point. I totally get it. And Rod, you could certainly correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, even though I'm gonna talk to you next week. Let's just throw what's it called? A hypothetical. Who gets paid more? Who gets paid more if Brock Purdy does what he does until time for extension, and if Trey Lance played and did what and balled the way? Let's say if in a parallel universe, I'm watching a lot of Marvel shit. That Trey Lance is here and he had an amazing stat line, and Brock Purdy had the same stat line in another universe. Who gets paid more, Brock Purdy or Trey Lance?
Yeah, and I understand your question too, because you're comparing first round pick to, what was he, a sixth round pick?
Sixth round pick.
Yeah,
yes.
I understand, and logically, yes, that's the way to think in terms of who gets paid more. You would think logically Trey Lance would get paid more because he's the number 3 pick. In my book, and Chels, you're the Cowboy fan here too, because I brought this same example up with Dak Prescott when he got his money. I was of the impression, hey, if both those guys have the same stat line, then if I'm both those guys, I'd be asking for the same damn amount of money. Like I would be asking to be the highest paid quarterback at that particular moment in time when it's time for you to, get your money, regardless of if you're a first round pick or if you're the 6th round pick. That's just kind of how I see it.
Sure, I get that's what you would ask for, but I mean, where you're drafted when you're talking about money, like it's different for a first rounder to perform that way, and it's different for a 6th rounder to perform that way. It just is different. It just is different.
Sure.
So for me, it's like, all right, I can pay Brock Purdy less. It's flat out, I can pay Brock Purdy less. I read somewhere that Trey Lance got paid $27 million for 260 snaps.
I didn't see that. $27 million?
It could be cock sources.
Okay.
I'm just telling you what I read.
I didn't see that.
Somewhere that his contract read $27 million with San Fran, and he only played 260 or so snaps, maybe not even that much. Like that's that. If that's true, that sounds crazy.
Yeah,
that sounds crazy. And we know Brock Purdy. What Brock Purdy getting, like $600K?
Probably. So yes. So yes. To answer your question, yes, Brock Purdy logistically would be the cheaper quarterback when it's time to pony up money for a second contract or an extension. However, I don't know that I'm looking at 8 games he played, 8 or 9 games he played. I don't know that I'm looking at an 8-9 game sample and just immediately just like that flip the switch and say, yo, that's our guy, knowing that the other guy that we traded 3 first round picks for, they're kind of in the same, like they have less experience at the quarterback position in the NFL. Like, it's one thing if Trey Lance was a vet 8-9 years in the league, and then you'd be like, oh, Brock is really good. Hey, he's going to be cheaper. Let's part ways with Trey Lance. Like, I could see that. But Trey Lance played 2 regular season games and got hurt. Like,
and
I don't know if I would do that.
And again, I don't remember. I don't watch a whole bunch of San Fran games. how good was Trey Lance in them 2 games?
Hey, Chels, how good was Trey Lance in those 2 games?
I'm gonna tell you, I don't even remember. I'm over here looking.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
I'm over here looking up this contract when you said 27 million, and you're just about right. So he signed a 4-year, 34 million that was fully guaranteed.
27 million fully guaranteed. Guaranteed $27 million.
I'm gonna show you what this. I'm gonna read it to you.
Wow.
So Lance is still owed $6.24 million in guaranteed money over the next 2 seasons, which Dallas is responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
As for the 49ers, they will absorb a dead cap hit of $8.36 million in 2023 and $5.5 million in 2024.
Mm-hmm.
Lance signed a 4-year, $34 million contract that was fully guaranteed after being selected by the 49ers in the 2021 draft. San Francisco ultimately ended up paying Lance $27.85 million of that deal, with Dallas on the hook for the balance. So that's how you get to the 34 remaining. So he's a rich man.
For 260 snaps. See, here's the thing. Y'all keep talking about all the draft stock he gave up, which is valid. That's a valid conversation.
Yeah.
But when you know you got a better option, your best better, and I'm not talking about on the field. I'm talking about money at this point.
Right.
You got a better option. Just cut your losses. The sooner you cut your losses, the better.
Yeah, I guess. And Rod in the chat said Trey got $34 million guaranteed. And just to stir the pot too, I got to read this from Rod in the chat. He said the Niners won a Super Bowl win just as bad as Cowgirls fans. They, being the Cowboys, got their ring the year after
I'm
us.
also not listening once you start saying Cowgirls fans. I ain't listening to nothing that Rod or Rob or whoever he is got to say. But go ahead. I sent the article to y'all. But go ahead.
I'm about to say, yeah.
We can't even be adults on here. Go ahead.
I love it.
So did y'all hear? So Jimmy Garoppolo was recently asked about how he felt about Trey Lance being traded to the Cowboys. His response was weird. They then asked him about how he felt about how the 49ers dealt with quarterbacks. And he said, I won't say too much, but what I will say is messy. This is from Jimmy Garoppolo.
I mean, is he wrong?
He's not wrong, but I feel like, I mean, there was definitely a little spice in there, a little salt in there. He was a little loud. It was a little Lowry's in there. He's a little salty.
Not surprising though. No, when you're not on the team no more, you can talk more.
Especially when you know Trey Lance was drafted because you missed that damn throw in Kansas City.
That's what I said. I said that's why they drafted the kid.
So I'm just saying. So I mean, you know, I mean, but shout out to Jimmy G because it do look crazy. I'm not denying it look crazy, but it
definitely does.
It looks crazy, but it's definitely convenient that he could get that off and that look like a hater or sound like a hater.
Yeah. Hey, Rod in the chat here. He says Trey's second preseason game against the Broncos, and I don't know why we're talking preseason games, but he said he got off to a slow start and started balling and had 3 scoring drives. We talking preseason,
and if I'm not mistaken, I don't be watching preseason games like that unless it's Pittsburgh. Here we go. Did the touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, that he scored, was should have been an interception, and it somehow became a touchdown. And so the conversation that I read that was going on about why Sam Darnold quote unquote separated himself,
right,
was because that touchdown throw. Sam Darnold threw a more what's the word I'm looking for? A better touchdown throw than Trey Lance, because Trey Lance's should have been an interception if you look up the tape. Now I didn't see it. I'm just telling you what I read. Sometimes I'll be reading and shit, but I'm just saying what was said.
Chels, you know what I'm wishing for now? Now that, you know, this is kind of past us, the whole Trey Lance thing and the conversation. I'm hoping, just from a football fan's perspective,
Mhm.
I am hoping for a Dallas San Francisco meetup in the playoffs. I'm wishing for that moment to happen again for the third straight year in a row. And
Why?
why? Because I would like to see, and this is no shade to Dak Prescott, and again I hope he doesn't get hurt, but God forbid if he has to sit out and Trey Lance has to fill in for Dak Prescott, that's the drama that I want to see. Trey Lance starting for the Cowboys in a playoff game against the 49ers.
She don't want to see that.
And you're not going to see that.
Right.
You're going to see Cooper Rush.
Yeah, like you ain't about to
Just
see that.
manage the game, not blow it, get them down the field. That's what you're going to see. Just get us over the hump into the promised land. You're not going to see Trey Lance this year on that field unless we are all on this podcast jinxing my team.
No, two of y'all. I ain't do it.
Nah, look, I'm just saying for the Cowboys to beat San Francisco.
Yeah.
Because if that happens, those guys got to lose their jobs. I'm just saying.
I don't. Yeah. Okay. I
No,
got
they don't. Trey, you gotta stop, bro. I get it. I get it. He a black quarterback, and we don't want our black quarterbacks done that way, Trey. But come on, bro.
No, they
Yeah.
do.
Right, but cut it out, bro. Cut it out, bro.
Look, if they
Cut
don't
it
win,
out,
if
bruh.
they don't win the Super Bowl, the seat got to get hot. At least, at minimum, the seats got to get
This has
hot
been a-
for both
I
those
think
guys.
you need to write a strongly worded letter to Cal Shanahan and get out.
and get your frustrations
Strongly
out.
worded letter.
Yeah,
And I don't even root for the team. I don't even root for the team, and I'm upset what happened to Trey Lance.
So salty. Strongly worded letter. You need
Yeah.
to put on your best Karen.
Yeah,
Strongly
yeah.
worded letter.
Yeah.
This letter is addressed to the manager.
Right, because that's only. And your name is your name is Trey, dog. You ain't getting that all, bro. They gonna see Trey, and yeah, you ain't gonna get. It's not getting the cow. It's not getting.
It's
the
not
cow.
making it.
It's not getting. The
It's
cow,
not making
bro.
it across the desk.
And you know, for all of this anger you have towards it, he got traded just to be a third string again.
Hey,
He's just a third string again.
hey, the check's cashing though.
Yeah, facts. Facts.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
he on,
I
he
guess.
on third string, and the checks he getting a bigger check than Cooper Rush is.
Yeah, right.
I guess.
Right.
I
For
guess.
But yeah.
3 million or something.
I
I mean,
guess.
he got a sweet deal.
Hey, I mean, I get it. I'm with you in the sense that I want to see my young black brother get on the field and play football. But I mean, this is a hell of a consolation prize.
Yeah.
Well,
It's a hell of a consolation prize.
here's a comment from Rod. He says, "Don't worry, us Niner fans are giving no passes to Kyle if we don't win the Super Bowl." That's coming from the fan himself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna save that. Matter of fact, let me write my question for Rod down right now so I don't forget it.
Hey, Chels.
How in the hell are you gonna replace Cal? That's right there for. I'm gonna ask it to you right there. I'm not gonna forget it.
So Chels, let's get back to the Cowboys. Outlook for the season. What are your expectations? Do you guys see yourself as the NFC East champions? Do you guys see yourself winning 12 games this season? What's the outlook for the season?
So I 2 or 3 years ago, winning 12 games was like, oh, we win 12 games, we in the money. Well, we won 12 games last year and did not win the division. So
Yeah.
I do think that we are. I think if I could do my prediction, I said like 12, and with a 1 to 2 point differential kind of thing. I feel like we're gonna win a couple that we ain't had no business winning, and we're gonna lose a couple that we had no business losing. I guess this year I just need to see a little bit. I'm not as worried about Dak. I think that they need to fix some other pieces around him. The running back situation is going to be interesting. We don't have Zeke anymore. I think the three-headed monster, if we're going to call it three-headed, whatever the hell nicknames we got going on, it's definitely going to be Tony Pollard. It's going to be Rico. It's going to be Deuce Vaughn. I like Malik. I forgot his last name, but I think that Deuce Vaughn's father being the scout.
Yeah.
I think it's
nepotism.
And he's so tiny out there. He's so tiny, itty bitty out there. But he's a bad boy, though. I mean, listen, he's a bad boy. So I'm interested to see that. I'm gonna miss Zeke. I know that he lost his explosiveness, but Zeke was a little bit more versatile with regards to being a running back, especially like in the game and things like that.
Yeah.
So defense. I'm confident in the defense. I mean, we have a really good defense.
Yeah.
Although we like to give up get cute and give up some big plays every now and then, and sometimes that can kind of undo the whole series for you.
Yeah.
We should have stopped them on that. So I do think it's going to be a 12-game season again, but I don't want us to get into that rut like you were saying, Trey. Like, oh, y'all had back-to-back 12-game seasons. Yeah, there was a time when we were 8-8.
Yeah,
and it was just like, come on, just to get over the rut. Also, I want to see what the difference will be between a Kellen Moore and a Mike McCarthy calling those plays. If we could fool somebody. Can we fool somebody this time? It's embarrassing when teams like, oh, we knew exactly what they were going to call. So I want us to be able to fool somebody this year. So I think it's a 12 game, but it's just so weird saying, I think it's 12 game and having that not possibly be enough because it's going to be a log jam at the top, just like it was before. Thankfully, we're not in the AFC because still might not be enough.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a little bit of a log jam, and we'll just have to see if Philly can be the same Philly as they were last year. And all indications are pointing to that they will be.
I honestly thought last year, if y'all was able to get past San Fran in the playoffs, that Dallas, Philly, NFC title game, like I feel like that game would have been like a nail biter, like all the way to the end. Like a part of me feels like these two teams are closer than I think the media and talking heads kind of give them.
That's a great point.
But is it they're closer because of talent, or is it that they're closer because they're familiar with each other? And I think it's the latter.
It's more so familiarity. It's the familiarity, because I do think that the talent is
talent wise. I think we can match up people talent wise as well. I mean, maybe it could be both.
Yeah, it could be both.
That's
true.
But with Philly having that, being undefeated for so long and all of that, like it, Philly had all of the fanfare around them, and with Jalen Hurts playing so very well.
Yeah.
The lights was gonna, all of the flashing lights were on Philly last year.
Yeah, for sure. And I ain't gonna hold you. They look like they at least going 5-0 this year. So
yeah,
very well.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah,
for real. Hey,
so I got one more question, and I know where you're going, but I got one more question. Scale of 1 to 10, the Cowboys win a Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
Well, I don't know how to answer the number.
That's the first time somebody ever said that to you.
0 being
zero.
Okay, 0 being hell no, ain't never happening. 10 being we definitely doing that in the next 3 years. The Cowboys win a Super Bowl.
Oh, I can mess this whole thing up for you. 5.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, because as of right now, I think
that's the easiest answer.
I mean, it's super safe, but I respect it.
It's absolutely safe. That's the safe stuff.
Easiest answer right there. So I got 2 more things, Chels. Top 5 Dallas Cowboy players all time in your mind, and just so we can give you a synopsis of before we do these lists. So every episode, we do this podcast, and somebody's always in our DMs, or somebody's giving me a phone call or a text and saying, hey, that guest you had on don't know what they're talking about, who they got in their top 5 and da-da-da-da-da. So this is a 2-part question. So your top five Dallas Cowboys of all time in your book, and let everybody know your Twitter handle, social media, wherever they can find you at. So if they got a problem, they could come at you and not come at us.
Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now, don't come at me, baby. That's not a safe zone at all.
Hey. Now come there.
I love it.
We are sending them to you. We are sending them to you. No, you allowed to bomb them out. You allowed to do whatever you want to do to them.
Yeah.
Hey.
Don't come at me talking about, I don't know, but I have suffered way too long for you to. No. But I will give my top 5, and it's going to be obvious, and it's going to be probably more recent, because when I thought about the question before, I was like, do I go back in the day? And somebody would be like, you weren't around when they played. So I wanted to talk about some players that were around when I played that made it stand out for me. Of course, the playmaker Michael Irvin.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's undeniable. He's Mr. Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he's undeniable. Emmitt Smith was my very first football crush, if you can believe it. Now I look at it like, girl, what was you thinking about? My very first, I was like, I love him. I love Emmitt Smith. And again, his skill level is very undeniable. Dez Bryant.
Okay.
Dez Bryant is, and I knew that he was going to be one of my favorite Cowboys players after like the first. It's the passion. I think he really did embody that 88. And Dez was a bad boy. I mean, forget all of the whatever stuff y'all people be talking about, and I think the media unnecessarily said things about Dez, and of course Dez didn't make it always easy either.
Right.
But like that man loves the Dallas Cowboys, and even today, even after how everything ended with him and the Dallas Cowboys, that man loves the Dallas Cowboys, and so he is definitely one of my in my top 5 favorites.
Hey Chels, quickly before you continue, 2 things about Dez. Number 1, it's crazy how he didn't really get that like second look after the Dallas Cowboys parted ways with him. He came to the Ravens for that 1 year, but it really wasn't like that fit for him.
He went to the Saints and he got
the Saints, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. But still,
that's kind of what did it. Once he got hurt, that and the age, and it's just and I'm not mad at it because I don't want to see Dez in another uniform. I was hurt by that.
Right.
I was, oh man, my feelings are hurt. But yeah, and I think that's it. And I think that Dez very, he grew up a lot during that period of his life, and I think he really came to terms with his career in football, having a great career, did very well, made a great name for himself. It's like the king of Dallas, and I think that he made peace with what happened with his trajectory in his life. Also, Dez and all of these players. One thing that you will never hear is these players badmouth Jerry Jones. The fans and everybody, people badmouth them. They will never badmouth Jerry Jones, and they speak super highly of them. And it's because the Cowboys are a family. They are a family. They treat each other like that. After that, all of that happened. Like there was video where like they have the fights out there at Cowboy Stadium, and Dez damn near jumped in Jerry Jones's arms. And this is after everything has happened. So it is a very close-knit. It's a family. I mean, you will hear players talk about that Jerry Jones flew them on his private jet to go see their parents that were sick in the hospital. And he's gotten them out of a whole lot of trouble. And let me tell you something right now. Like my grandmother would say, between me, you, and the light post, Jerry done made some stuff disappear when it came to Dez Bryant. Stuff ain't never come to light when it comes to him. And so I think about those type of things and how he treats those players and why they revere him.
He made the conversation about him in that photo from years ago disappear too.
Poof. Well, and let me tell you about that before I go on. Let me tell you about that picture in that photo. And this is one of those things where people latch on to one part of the story and not the entire part of the story. But that was a expose that the Washington Post did.
Yeah.
Where the article was not about that picture with Jerry Jones. The article was about the lack of Black coaches in the NFL. 32 teams were asked to participate in an interview, and only Jerry Jones participated. Only Jerry Jones participated in that interview. He didn't hide a thing. He was completely honest about what he did then, what he said, how he was. He was completely honest and completely transparent about it. Now, it's like, you know, these things, you know what you did was wrong. What could you have done better now? You know, knowing all of these things, what could you have done better now? But he was very much like, if I know I'm gonna win, I don't care who they are, and I absolutely believe that. But
I believe that 100%.
Jerry Jones, you have a huge platform. You could flip this whole thing around with a switch, boop, just like that. He could flip this whole conversation around. He could be an Al Davis. He could absolutely be an Al Davis, and you still didn't. You know, so that was my beef with it. It was like, yeah, I mean, you know, you can pull up some old stuff about a whole lot of people back in the day. And
yeah.
He was a racist dude in Arkansas, a racist little teenager in Arkansas in 1950 something.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
He was the only one that participated in that interview, and he knew what the interview was about. He knew what they had. They called him and told him, we got this picture of you looking over the shoulder and peeking at somebody. He said, oh, let me tell you about the picture. Told on himself. And actually, the picture wasn't even the worst story in that whole article. It's just what everyone could see. The story, I think they were on the bus and like it threw some water on somebody or something. I thought that was horrible. So that's my little spiel about Jerry Jones. You know, sometimes I want to give him a big hug and have a glass of scotch with him, and sometimes I want to push him out the rocking chair. You know?
Let's be clear, he shouldn't have did that interview.
Oh, he absolutely should have done that.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
And what did it hurt? What did it harm?
I mean, look, what did it harm in real life? Absolutely nothing. So I give you that.
That's
absolutely,
it. It
absolutely
didn't harm,
nothing.
but what did it illuminate?
I don't know what it illuminated because I didn't read the article. I am but
you ain't read the article.
But how many people do you know?
You read the article.
But how many people read the article?
We can't continue until you read the article, and then you read the article and bring me back on, and we can talk about it, because all of the article, it was a multi-piece article. I read all of it.
Sure.
You must read it. You gotta read it. That's why they did it. We gotta know the ins and outs of what people are thinking about when they decide that this person is better than the other person because they're Black, depending on the resumes. Like we just talked about these quarterbacks and their resumes. We talked about putting two quarterbacks against each other, and we talked about the scrutiny that Dak gets versus someone like Kirk Cousins. You know, like we talk about all of these things, so we're talking about it, but we're not saying the thing. We need to say the thing, and the thing is racism.
Hey, Maestro Styles, do you care enough to read the article?
Chels, I don't want to start our relationship lying to you.
And that's fine. You don't have to read it, but I'm not going to talk to you about it if you don't read
it. But the thing is that there's a high percentage of people who didn't read it. So,
and that's a problem. But yeah, our society. What did Van Lathan said? Your problem is you don't read. Absolutely.
No, I read. I didn't read that shit.
Those people worked very hard on that article, and as a fan and as a consumer of sport, I felt it was important. And as a Black person, I think it's important to read that, because we hooping and hollering about Brian Flores and Eric Bieniemy getting screwed over and all of that stuff. But like, these people are doing the research and the numbers and the data and putting things together to telling us really why these teams are thinking like that. And it was a really good deep dive into the mentality that Black people are not intelligent enough to lead major organizations, major companies and things like that. And we know that's not true, because one day before. So we know those things aren't true.
Yeah.
And Mike Tomlin lives.
Yeah, and he does. And Mike Tomlin is the only one who gave Brian Flores a job. And so now you can see how the network works. The more Black head coaches we got, the more coordinators, the more this, the more that. And we don't have to worry about these minority programs that they have where they stick a black potential coach in a assistant special teams position, and then that's where they stay.
And to add to that, and to add to the Brian Flores thing too, not only did Tomlin give Flores a job, but the Vikings gave him a job too. Remember who the Vikings general manager is? He's a black guy. So, just kind of to your point.
Yeah, I mean, so but it was a really, really good article. Every article in the series was really good. Some parts tough to read. Like, it's not easy reading about people like you getting, crapped on.
Yeah, right.
Being overlooked. Especially we see it enough all the time. We see it enough all the time. But I thought it was important with relation to this sport that we all love, but we kind of like, y'all got some issues here. Y'all got a deep good old boy network here and in college. A deep.
Sure.
Yep.
And I get tired of seeing all of these people get jobs that don't deserve to get these jobs, and I get tired of black head coaches getting 1-year deals.
Yeah,
right.
1-year deals, quote unquote. So
you owe us two more. You owe us two more.
Oh yeah,
Cowboys. I know.
But she's preaching to the choir, so absolutely.
Listen, like one of my friends said,
absolutely.
Take your black beret off. I had to put my black beret on for a second. So DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah.
I think he's probably one of the most impactful Cowboys defensive players of this current generation, and we see that not only is he a Hall of Famer, but he's also in the Cowboys Ring of Honor, which ain't easy to get in. But he is in the Cowboys Ring of Honor. So DeMarcus Ware, absolutely. And he's been training up and working with the young lion there, Micah Parsons. So I'm definitely very excited about that. And then the last one is probably going to be a little, well, not a shocker, but probably not as glamorous as the others.
Okay.
And that's Marion Barber.
Interesting.
I like Marion Barber. Yeah.
I loved Marion Barber.
Like Marion Barber.
So, fun fact, Marion Barber is the only, up until 2021. In 2021, when Cowboys was run, I got me a Dak jersey in 2021. I said, number 4. But before that, the only player jersey I have ever had was Marion Barber. Mm-hmm. And rest in peace.
Rest in peace to Marion Barber.
Oh yeah, that's right, for sure.
In peace,
horrible what happened to him. He was a brilliant man. He was an accomplished pianist, but had significant mental health issues. And that, amongst some other things, ultimately, led to his demise. But he was definitely one of my Marion the Barbarian.
All right, Trey, do you have an objection?
I don't. I honestly don't. This is a good list.
I didn't know this was an objection list. I thought this was.
Well, this is where we just try to sway you. We just try to sway you.
No, I don't get time. But you can try. But I don't.
I will try, because there is a very important person that I didn't feel like was spoken about. Jason Witten.
5.
Huh?
You said 5. I mean, I could have gone. Now, Jason Witten, if I didn't say Marion Barber, I probably could have said Jason Witten.
You would put DeMarcus Ware over Jason Witten?
They play 2 different positions.
I'm just saying, top 5.
Ware is my only defensive player on this list.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is too offensive.
Yeah.
Let me try to do that. Yeah. But this is
it's your list. Let's be clear. It's your list.
Yep.
Thank you. It's my list.
Yeah. It's your list. That's the important thing.
If you would have said, you should have put Jason Witten, sure, he could have been right there in the list. And also, I didn't really rank these. I just put.
We don't
ask you to rank them.
I mean, yeah. So Jason Witten, he goes without saying. He definitely goes without saying. So anybody y'all thought I should have put in there?
But I agree, Maestro. You can make a case for Jason Witten being in a top 5 list of Cowboys. You could also make a case for Troy Aikman being on a top 5, list of Cowboys. You could seriously make that list. Make that case anyway.
Okay. Charles Haley was another one.
Charles Haley is who I had, but I wanted to keep it a little bit more recent.
Recent. Okay.
Out Charles Haley for DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I respect it. I respect it.
I've worked on this list a long time. Now listen, I rationalized it. I tried to do it by decade. I tried to do it by it was everything, and I was just like,
yeah. Certainly one of the tougher lists to make, though. Like, the Cowboys got a bunch of Hall of Famers and fan favorites.
Absolutely.
it's just tough to put a list like that together. But that's a solid top 5 that you got.
Yeah, Moose
Respect to
Johnson.
that.
I would put Moose on there. I mean, now if y'all said top 20, then we could have been rocking and rolling there.
Oh no, we gotta
We
make
ain't got
it
time for
difficult.
that. We ain't got time for that. Hey, Chels, I got one last question for you, and it's a 2-parter. Talk to me about the Gridiron Gals podcast with you and Rita, the NFL chick, how y'all got that started, and how it's been going since then. And then also too, I want to promote the kickoff party that you guys are sponsoring at Mansion Baltimore, which is at 401 West Baltimore Street, downtown Baltimore. Kickoff party September 7th, Thursday night. 6 o'clock it starts, and it lasts all until until the game ends, I guess.
Until the game is. Oh, you did the promo. Wonderful.
Yeah.
That was a perfect promo right there.
I appreciate
I'll
that.
talk a bit about how we started.
Hey, I'm pointing at you, bro.
My show's hilarious. So, Rita initially started the whole Gridiron Gals concept with another person, and that when that person decided that she no longer wanted to make that commitment, and at that time it was like blog posts, and I think they did their first kickoff party in 2009.
Yep.
Rita asked me to join, so I have been helping her with the original kickoff parties. But I officially started with she and I doing Gridiron Gals in 2011. And it's just been like off to the races ever since. And so, I've enjoyed doing something I love with someone who I love, who is my best friend, Yep. And basically what you guys are hearing is me and Rita on the phone. Yeah. We sound, when we're on the phone, and it may be a trade or it may be something, and we're talking about something, like that is what you hear.
Yep.
And for her, I've also enjoyed seeing how her career in sports has like catapulted in the last year. Radio shows and doing Brother from Another on Peacock and all of that kind of stuff. So we started doing the podcast 10 years ago. So this is our 10th season. And it just is something that just involved from the music to the topics to the format. And this is our first year doing it on YouTube. And I'm just like, Lord, I got to keep my hair
Welcome
done.
to YouTube.
I got to put my makeup on, all of that kind of stuff. But it's been fun. So, I mean, we just have a really good time. And we've gotten really good responses. We love that we have so many women that are very interested in sports, and I think these sports teams and leagues know that it's pushing towards 50-50 with women and men, and I'll be honest with you, probably 50% of our fan base is men. I mean, we get a large following of men, especially especially like at the kickoff parties and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah. It's not like they coming because they know women, and no, they're coming because they enjoy us, and we're happy that they enjoy us, and we have not had, quote unquote, knock on wood, and I don't know if comments going to come on YouTube, but we haven't really had that y'all are women talking about sports, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, we haven't really had any of that. Now Rita may say something different because she's on quite a few more, her platform is much bigger.
Yeah.
But overall, the experience in such a male-dominated world has been pretty positive, other than, just the regular people, you got that one or two dudes that they may say it to a woman, they may say it to a man, like, we're just being a jerk out here, but we haven't really experienced that. So we've gotten a lot of love. And overall, she and I just having the time of our life right now. Like, we're talking about football, doing our podcast, we're going out to dinner and traveling, and we're just having a really, really good time together and together in our partnership.
That's what I love about y'all's podcast, is that, like you said, it sounds like y'all just talking on the phone. And when I watch you guys, it's exactly the vibe that I get every time I watch you guys do the podcast. And that's one of the things I can appreciate about you both. And as far as like the parties are concerned, so me and Maestro, we went to a New Year's Eve party that Rita had sponsored down in Baltimore City this past year. And it was one of the best venues, one of the best gatherings that we had been to in a while. It was a dope atmosphere, and we had a really good time. And so I'm definitely looking forward to next Thursday night, and I know y'all gonna turn the place out.
Oh yes, we're gonna have a good time. I'm so excited. I'm also kind of a little nervous I'm an extrovert, but that's a lot of mingling when you're hosting a party.
Yeah, it is. It is.
A lot of picture taking, a lot of handshaking, a lot of hugging, a lot of, spreading the attention around, but I can't wait to have a good time. So like you said, the doors are going to be open around 6:30. We have a DJ Kalina is going to be DJing for us. And so we DJ up to the game. Y'all know how we roll. We don't play music during the game.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, we don't do that. Yeah, we don't do that.
Invites me to like a sports bar. I said, are they playing music? Because turn that off.
Right.
We're gonna have that. We're gonna have some, happy hour specials and food specials. I'm gonna do some raffling and things like that. So it's gonna be a really, really fun event. Great time, to network and meet some other fans and things like that. So it's just gonna be, a funky good time out there.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All right. So first of all, we appreciate you. We definitely appreciate you coming on, spending time with us. Let the people know where they can get to you one last time and plug anything you would like to plug before we get up out of here.
Sure. So you can follow the Gridiron Gals on @Gridiron Gals all together on Twitter. I don't call it no X. Twitter.
Neither do I.
Nope, it's Twitter in my book.
And there is also where you can find information about the party, where you can RSVP on our Eventbrite for the party. You can follow my partner Rita at the NFL Chick on Twitter, and you can follow me at Chelsia's Right all together on Twitter as well. And we have those same handles on Instagram. I think yes, the same handles on Instagram.
All right. Hey, Chels, thank you so much. This was fun. This was dope. We appreciate you. I look forward to meeting you next Thursday in person.
Yes, please.
And hopefully my homie Maestro can come through. But
hopefully, fingers crossed.
That's another story there.
Hey, guess what? I'm gonna print that article out and hand it to you. What you may not know, I'm also a college professor. So when you tell me you read something, my eyebrow go all the way up to here. What you mean you ain't?
But I do read.
I had to look at you over top of my glass.
See, if I can flip my camera right now, you will see a stack of books. I read. I didn't read that article.
That's all right. I'm gonna hand it to you.
Don't beat me up. I read.
That's all right. I'll make it easy for you.
Man, she said she gonna have the article printed and everything, man.
But take care, guys. Thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. Be safe out here.
I will. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot. We got that was Chels from the Gridiron Gals Podcast, one half of the podcast there. Find her on social media on Twitter @Chels is right. Also Gridiron Gals @Gridiron Gals. That was a dope conversation with her, man.
Yes, sir.
And I really believe that she was serious about handing you the article if you show up next Thursday night at the kickoff party.
All right. Hey, man, I need to make some dinner, man.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah,
sign us up. Get us up out of here, bro.
I'm ready to get us out of here, man. Thanks to Chels for dropping through.
Absolutely. Salute.
Appreciate everybody in the chats. Rod was in the chat. We're gonna holler at him next week along with the boy Wasso. That was dope also. Folks, continue to, watch us on all these platforms. We're on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook. We got the Facebook page. Click the like button. We got the Twitch channel going. You can follow us on Instagram @Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast. We're on Twitter also as well, R2. And also, I've been meaning to say this too, and we started promoting this about a month ago, but I need to say this more. Check out the Barbershop Sports Talk Podcast merch store. Check out the link. It's in the episode details every time we do these episodes. We got some good stuff on there with the hopes of putting some more things on there. Make sure y'all check that out.
Yeah, it's about to be hoodie season, so.
Absolutely. So you make sure y'all go check that store out. Email if you guys want to check us out through email. barbershopsportstalk1@gmail.com is the place to hit us up at. Also, if you're listening to any of us on the streaming platforms, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, drop a review. Let us know what you think about the show. It goes a long way, man. And as always, my brother, always appreciate doing this with you.
Yes, sir.
I'm looking forward to next week.
Next podcast, I will be 40.
Yes, on the exact day. Looking forward to that.
For sure.
Definitely looking forward to that. Love, peace, and happiness, everybody. And as always, folks, mind your damn business.
Drink some water.
Oh yeah, we got 'em.
Recording
Trey,
stop.
Frazier, and Maestro styles, you know we got one. Right back like we left something. We don't duck smoke, we want all of it. So line them up, Trey sharp with the blade, you know we sizing it up. I'm quick to catch the fade, you know Styles making the cut. Cause we coming out clean every time that we showing up.
It's gonna be called The Barbershop.